Good afternoon, everyone. It is great to see you all here for the closing luncheon of the 43rd Annual Lifesavers Conference on Roadway Safety. I'm honored to serve as your event MC for this afternoon, and I hope you've all had an opportunity to explore lovely Long Beach while you've been here. I trust you've connected with new colleagues and reconnected with old friends, and most importantly, I hope that your head is already bursting with new knowledge that you have gained over these past 3 days. Since Saturday, for those of you who participated in the pre-conference meetings, you've had the opportunity to increase your traffic safety knowledge, learn about the latest research, gather information about new programs, services, and technology, and make some great connections while here in Long Beach. You've even had an opportunity to save some lives literally by participating in the blood drive. I had an opportunity to even stop at the beach when I first came into town. I've got to explore some restaurants locally. So I truly hope that your Lifesavers experience has been as immersive and as full as mine. So now we ask that you please enjoy your meal. I will be back in just a few minutes to continue our program.
Please welcome President and CEO of Safe Kids Worldwide and Lifesavers Board Member, Torine Creppy.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is so nice to see so many of you stay to the end. And I really, really want to thank you for that. And I think all of you deserve a round of applause for doing that. Lifesavers has been an amazing week. And I want to take this time to allow the panel to introduce themselves before we jump right into it. Sam.
My name is Sam Cole. I'm a traffic safety manager in Colorado, and I oversaw the communications track.
I'm Jennifer Smith with StopDistractions.org and the National Distracted Driving Coalition, and I'm over the distracted driving track.
Tim Kerns with the Maryland Highway Safety Office and the Occupant Protection Track.
Rob Duckworth with Intoximeters, and this is my first time being part of the process, so I was a co-chair with the Criminal Justice Track.
Hi, I'm Kristin Kingsley from the Automotive Coalition for Traffic Safety, and I am with the Vehicle Technologies and Automated Driving Track.
Thank you. The Lifesavers Conference showcases workshops with research to practice initiatives. As Lifesavers Planning Committee track leaders, we understand the work we all do is so important, and your passion leaves an indelible mark. Let's discuss some key takeaways from your workshops, including actionable items that our attendees can implement or explore when they return back to home. So I'll start with you, Rob. Speak about your track's workshop. Every checkbox matters, so we can all do better and live better.
So we had planned a workshop to be able to cover crash data. I had very commonly in Indiana been known as Marsha, because I always said data. And my point was the folks that are at the scene of the incidents that are collecting that information, they really don't have a connection in the end of understanding how important it is, the information that they're collecting, and then that culmination of data coming into the end of that information. And we experienced this in Indiana about 6 years ago when we saw an increase in the number of suspected serious injuries. And it wasn't because when we actually dug in through working with FARs and our other review processes that part of our instructions were the person was necessary to be transferred by ambulance. Well, being transferred by ambulance and necessarily being transferred by ambulance are two distinguishable different factors being involved in a crash. So it was about thinking outside of the box, making sure everyone understands all of those processes that are there. And we have a tendency when we're approached with new ideas of putting them into a box. And being a speaker, I brought a wonderful prop here. I have this wonderful no expense spared box from downstairs at the registration desk. And you take an idea and you put it into a box. And then we don't let it get out of the box because we just say, oh, it won't work or it hasn't worked. By a show of hands, how many of you would say that majorly this is a pretty good sized box? You can see it all the way in the back of the room. But when we do this, How much more space and how much more planning and how many more partners can we now bring to the table when we actually get people out of the box, get them out of the box of our line of thinking? It's not that every checkbox doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. But it's about setting goals for things that can be done now and things that can be bringing things towards the future. My good friends in Michigan are currently running one of these processes right now, and I'm absolutely infatuated with their piece with Safer by 30. They have set a goal to reduce fatalities by 30% by 2030. Something that's going to be specific and measurable before they can get to that 0-point level. So my challenge to all of you is, what did you hear today? What did you take from here that you are now going to take out of the box when you get back home and not leave it in the, no one will believe it. No one will think that that will work here, and be the champion that you can be to be able to bring these things forward. Our folks in Illinois are doing the same thing with Ari Briskman and Jen Cifaldi, looking at the seated battery of tests as other ways to look at impairment, because we have to do what we have to do in order to be able to identify impairment first. So from the criminal justice side to the impaired driving side, and a shout out to every one of you who's a child passenger safety tech, as I was for over 20 years. You are the ones that make the difference in the beginning for the child that doesn't get a choice to be involved in that crash. So thank you for what you do.
That was fantastic, Rob, because we're going to talk about silos before we leave here today. Because when we go back home, we want to bring someone inside of that box that we never thought about. So Sam, when you think about communicating those important messages, and one I just mentioned, there are several key components to communicating effectively. What elements from your workshops can help jurisdictions create meaningful messages to accompany state and local risky driving behavior mitigation efforts?
All right, Torine, I got 3 things for you from the communications track. The first one has to do with partnerships. Over and over again, attending the communications workshop, we saw about the power of partnerships and how they created change. We saw a partnership of untraditional stakeholders in a town in Massachusetts that drove up seatbelt use by 25% in 1 year. We saw expansion of the interlock program in North Carolina because of partnerships that came together there to pass legislation. Motorcycle safety, all sorts of groups coming together. And we all have groups that we know back home. We all have relationships, stakeholders, people we don't even know yet back home. So that is kind of my first takeaway is go back home, look for those traditional and untraditional stakeholders, come together to get things done. Because I know that perhaps in the coming months, some of us might be, I hate to say it, maybe losing funding. I don't know. Don't want to spread any rumors. But one thing that will never go away are our partnerships. The next thing has to do with ready-made materials. If funding does get reduced, there's so much ready-made material that already exists out there. TrafficSafetyMarketing.gov is a great resource. If you don't have $1 million for a campaign, traffic safety marketing, or just go to another state. I mean, in Colorado, I get emails all the time from other states asking for our creative material, and they're welcome to swap out their logo or swap out our logo for their logo. And a lot of other states are going to be doing that. I'm going to be reaching out to Erica over in Washington State for their great Plan Ahead campaign for DUI. So yes, reach out. There's ready-made materials there. You don't need to spend a lot of money. And then the other thing that came out was of our workshops from communications was the fact that people are already on board with what works in communications. And what I mean by that is workshop after workshop talked about the strength of positive safety culture, positive safety norming, letting people know that 90% of people buckle up as a way to get that last 10% of people buckling up. So and messengers are so important. Time after time, best practice around messengers, victims telling their stories, social media influencers. Youth pulling together programs to influence other youth. Peer-to-peer messaging is so important. So I was just really taken back by how much consensus there is on those best practices, and it was just awesome to see.
Great. So again, we're going to have a theme here. Communicate and collaborate. And I think we're all doing great work. And as Sam alluded to, funding, we all know we've been here before, but we all are resilient. So let's come together to do more together. Jennifer, research has shown that legislation has a significant impact on distracted driving behavior. How can our attendees help support these legislative efforts, and what can we do to promote the initiatives?
Well, one thing is, remember, everyone has a voice, and we need you to use it. I mean, what we're seeing in the States is not only one person can do this. You have to build a team. You have to collaborate. I mean, you're going to see this theme. It takes everyone. It takes a village. It takes the families, law enforcement. Even if you're not allowed to lobby and advocate for bills, you are still allowed to educate and state the facts. The facts speak for themselves. And so be a part of that. Just stay aware of what's going on. See where you can help. Just spreading the education of the issue helps spur those things along. But again, work together. You also need to look at things like you're not going to get everything you want. You're going to have to negotiate, let some things go. Our big saying is, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We learned in our workshops that, there's all types of laws for distraction. 49 states have some form of a law. We have one holding out, but we're halfway done there. But it takes everyone working together. And you would think, well, I work on drunk driving. How could I be a part of that? We all do the same things in our issues. We have all the same tools, and we can support each other. That's what we need, is one strong voice to bring us all together.
Jennifer, you said something that's really important. Everyone doesn't have to be able to advocate. I know in the work that I do, health departments, they can't, but they can educate. And they can keep the community thriving by educating them on what they can do by taking control of their community. Kristin, emerging technologies and the data systems that create our spawning and new era of innovation in transportation safety. Thinking about your track's workshops presented over the last 3 days, what do we need to know about these technologies, and how can local and state entities prepare for the implementation of vehicle technology?
Thanks, Torine, and thanks everyone who's here. We are seeing some amazing advancements in vehicle safety features, both in occupant protection and also in crash prevention. And these new exciting technologies have been decades in the making. The past few days, we've given you a glimpse of the future, what's to come with vehicle technologies, but we've also helped to clarify some fundamentals about what is currently on the roads today. From my perspective, the one big takeaway for all of you, and to take back to your communities, is that vehicle technologies are supplemental safety systems. They are there to assist the driver, who should always be in charge. It doesn't matter how great or how effective your automated cruise control, adaptive cruise control combined with lane centering is, the driver is still expected to be in control of that vehicle. Even when level 2 self-driving is engaged, you are the driver. But wait, there's more. What if I told you that there was a breakthrough in vehicle safety that could reduce driver fatality risk by 50%? You would all be celebrating, right? You all wear your seatbelts, right? Because of that benefit. Well, I want to announce something that can reduce your risk by another 50%. And it's not a new technology that we're going to see in 3 years. It's not a new technology that we're going to see in 10 years. It's actually something that's on the roads right now. Does anybody know what it is? It's not actually one technology. It's all of them together. A NHTSA study found that a driver of a vehicle 12 to 14 years old, which is just above the average age of vehicles on the road today, is 32% less likely to be killed in a fatal crash than a driver who's in a vehicle who is between 0 and 3 years old. For vehicles that are 18 years or older, It's a 71% increase in fatality risk. And we have vehicles on our roads that are up to 30 years old. Today's vehicles were yesterday's vehicles of tomorrow. If you aren't driving a new vehicle right now, you're missing out. It's like not wearing a seatbelt. So my message is buckle up. Don't wait for automated vehicles to save us all. We can get halfway there with what we already have, and the rest of the way there with what is to come.
I just want to add on that for the work that we do at Safe Kids and what we educate parents of young children, buckle up every ride, every time. But I want to take it a little further because many of us get in ride share every single day. And we get in the back seat of someone else driving, someone else's vehicle, and we don't buckle up. So remember not to put your trust in someone else and follow exactly what Kristin is saying. Buckle up every ride, every time, and make it a behavior. Which leads us to segue right into Tim. The national belt use average in the United States in 2023 was 91.9%. This is great. And of course, we want everyone to buckle up in the front seat. But what about the back seat? Can you share with us some insights from your workshop that focused on back seat belt use?
Thank you. I'll give you a little overall observation. You notice everybody up here said seatbelts. That's going to lead into Torine's next question when we get there. That 90% number is huge. It's really important that most people out there are buckled up, but that 10% number is reluctant to change. It's really hard to get that number to move. Some states are higher, some states are lower, but that 10% number kind of stays about where it is, and I guarantee you that those 10% are not just not wearing their seatbelt. They're also driving impaired, they're also speeding, they're also doing other risky driving behaviors while they're out there. When we look at some of the sessions that we've had this week and talking about how to keep folks safer in the car, a lot of it is, when you're talking about backseat passengers, which are often children, they want to look to their parents. So when you get behind that steering wheel and you're driving the car, you want to set that example because they are going to look to you. And some of the surveys that we've seen, if the driver is belted, the passengers are more likely to be belted as well. So it's the driver that's kind of setting the tone for the car. And when you look at the kids in the back seat and getting people to buckle up, it really varies. And when you think about the state laws that are in place, even though nobody has a mandatory back seat law there, none of the teenagers that we see that are unbelted, none of them, with some small exceptions, have grown up without a seatbelt law, whether it's secondary or primary. They've had it their whole life. So it's making sure that we reinforce that, and as parents, when they're learning to drive, and we're getting behind the wheel, that we're setting that example that they need to follow. And then making sure everybody else in our car is buckled up as well. As we see more and more surveys of backseat occupants, we'll see it vary about who's belted and who's not. It's going to vary by age. It's going to vary by where they are and where they're going. So it's a message that we still have to hit on because that 10% number does not like to change very much.
Thanks, Tim. And I will be remiss, but we didn't have every track leader here, but I want to just remind you also about speed and pedestrians, because they're not here represented on the stage, and our child passenger safety track isn't either. But just remember, distraction is live and it's moving very fast. And we got to pay attention. We got to pay attention to our pedestrians. We have electric vehicles on the road these days, and those are quieter. Pedestrians may not hear those. So I just want to remind you, in all the work that we've done together this week, let's take that on our journey as we go back home. And so how are we going to do that? More than ever, we need to do more together as agencies, organizations, partners, and individuals. And we need to be intentional in that work. So I'm going to ask the panel, how do we become more intentional and leave our silos?
I'll hop on that one because we talked about it at the run-through yesterday. So this is a little bit of an unfair question, but show of hands, how many people went to an impaired driving session? Way more hands have to go up. I saw the impaired driving sessions. How many people went to a CPS session? How many people went to the Breaking Down Silos sessions? There were Breaking Down Silos sessions, and being able to get those folks integrated with what we do in highway safety officers or just highway safety in general, because every one of the panel members up here, when we spoke about our particular program area, we all talked about the other ones. So it's really important that when we get back, we have to work together, because what we see in occupant protection, what they see in impaired driving, what they see with autonomous vehicles, it all ties together because messages overlap, the education we give overlaps, the enforcement we do overlaps. So it's really important that we work together and integrate those processes.
I could also add that, it takes every part, the education and awareness. He said there's materials out there. Don't reinvent the wheel. Lean on each other. When I started, I tell everyone all the time, it was MAD who helped me, who opened their doors and taught me everything. That's the only reason I'm as successful as I am, because I learned from the people who have been doing this for decades and saving countless lives. We have to lean on each other. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask. If you know me, I'm probably going to call you for something someday. Everyone up here knows that. I've called every one of you. But we have to lean on each other, or we're all we've got. We have to get the messages in our communities, in our states, across this nation. We have a crisis on our roads, and we're starting to get noticed that this is a national crisis by the powers above us.
And I would also just say to lean into those untraditional stakeholders. I know I mentioned this in Colorado. We just passed a hands-free law, and we're trying to think of every way we can to get the word out about the new hands-free law. So we emailed all the school districts in the state, and it's a group that we've really never worked with, and it was amazing the number of school districts who responded that wanted our information to spread amongst the schools and wanted to share that information. So just think outside the box. We got a box here somewhere still. Because every traffic safety is on everybody's minds. Everybody drives, everybody uses the roadways. You'll be surprised the number of people that want to actually engage with you and help make change.
I think the time now is more than ever the time for informal leadership versus formal leadership. And I already know from talking to one of our local Uber drivers this week that everyone in here is an informal leader. Darren Grondell and I were in an Uber, and we were on our way over to dinner one night, and we asked the driver and said, how often do you have to push people to buckle up in the back seat? And he goes, it's funny you mention that. This weekend, people are telling me to wait till they can buckle up before I take off.
Nice.
That is an example of informal leadership. Some of our people who accomplished some of the greatest things, and you can go back in history and look at the 20th Maine, they were informal leaders that chose to lead not because they were appointed to lead, but because they chose to be at the forefront to make the difference. And with the challenges that we're looking at now and where we're going to go and the differences that we're going to make, this is about embracing those things and equipping people with the knowledge ahead of time to be able to make a difference. I was a paramedic for 20 plus years. Never did I think we would get to the point of seeing blood in the ambulances unless it was coming from air medical. Did I absolutely think it was needed 20 years ago? Absolutely yes. But I learned today in a sidebar conversation, it was actually yesterday, that if we get pre-hospital blood in the field sooner, they actually use less blood later, so it doesn't create a risk to the blood supply. But if you don't get outside of that box of having that uncomfortable conversation and asking those questions, because I don't already know the answers, so I'm not going to ask. That's what informal leadership is, and that's what I ask all of you to do.
I really can't follow that one. That was amazing. Yeah. Vehicle technologies workshops are here not only because we want to help share with the Lifesavers community the work that we're doing, but we also want you to know that we understand the vehicle's role in a safe system. We know that we need to do more. We all need to do more together. And I just don't know if everyone in this room knows, but we're in an era where for every new vehicle safety regulation, There need to be 10 deregulatory activities. So over the next few years, it's really going to be on all of us to be proactive in advancing safety. And we really need to do that together. We need to speak with one voice about what each of us can do, what each of us can contribute, and what kind of help we need from each other. I think a lot of times we get very wrapped up in, I have an idea for your organization that you should do. We embrace that, but we also know that we need your help, and we hope that you'll help us and we'll work together.
Fantastic. I will say, if not us, then who? And I will remember to ask that question because many of you, as Tim said, may not have went to a different session because you came here particularly for the area that you focus in. But how we join forces is to come together and bring our organizations with us so that we're all standing together. We can all make a difference. We can get to the number we want to get to, dare I say, to 0, because like Tim said, we've been at 10% for a very long time. So the only way we're going to get there is if all of us join forces. And I would say, you know, things are changing. We saw that leading up to the conference, but we are part of that change. So let's just stay focused, keep our eyes on the goal, and let's do it together. So in a final word, as we lead into Baltimore, I'll start with you, Kristin. Anything you want to offer the group as they head to next Lifesavers?
From me, I'd like to offer my thanks to all of you because you're doing amazing work and it often goes unrecognized.
My encouragement to all of you who have not been a presenter at Lifesavers before, or maybe you have, is implement something this year so when we start forming the schedule for Baltimore, the persons that are there presenting to others are you. That's the challenge.
I was going to use this at the end. I will use it now. When we go back home today or tomorrow, we're going to go back to a lot of people who want to just let things happen. We're going to go back to a lot of people who just want to watch things happen. And we're going to go back to a lot of people who wondered what the heck just happened. But everybody here in this room is here because you want to make it happen. So when you go back, let's make it happen. We have a long way to go.
I'm going to put on my victim family hat now and say, from families to all of you, thank you. Like, we need you. We appreciate you for allowing us to be a part of this community. I mean, I was a real estate agent. This was my calling, but it was because of all of you. And you are what motivates us families to keep doing this every day. It is hard work, but you give us that power, and so keep doing what you're doing for those families who can't.
And I'll just go back to following that. One of our opening speakers said, we've got people that are literally depending on us to save their lives. And I think that has to drive us, and that has to move us forward. And think of where we are now and where we're going to be a year from now and what you can do to make change.
I want to thank all of you. Again, as I stated, this is being live streamed, and I wish they could see the room, that we have a full room. And it's because all of you care. You are resilient, and you are stronger than you believe you are. Let's just do great work. Thank you.
Phenomenal discussion. Thank you again to Torine and to our track leaders for that discussion. One great takeaway is to break out of our silos. Leaving here today, try to make a connection that you can follow up with and make sure that we're all working together to keep moving the needle. Please join me in giving one more round of applause to our panel. All right, now we have a very special presentation. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
In 2019, the Lifesavers Conference welcomed a powerhouse leader and safety advocate to help guide the conference through what eventually proved to be an unprecedented era for this organization. Through the challenges of a global pandemic to hosting a virtual event, Tara Casanova-Powell has offered critical leadership to the Lifesavers organization over the past 5 years. And she did it all with her own unique flair of personality and fashion, style, glitter, and glam. Everyone who has had an opportunity to interact with Tara knows that her energy, knowledge, and passion for traffic safety is infectious. In 2024, Tara made the very tough decision to transition from her role as a program coordinator of Lifesavers to focus on her many other leadership responsibilities within the traffic safety community. Tara, the Lifesavers Board and Planning Committee are extremely thankful for your tireless commitment over the years and continued support in making the 2025 event a success. As a token of our gratitude, we'd like to present you with a small gift that will allow you to fashionably show your continued connection to the Lifesavers team. A very personalized traffic safety, hot pink traffic safety vest. I know this vest will be bedazzled by the end of this conference. Thank you. Thank you. I think I speak for all of us when I say that is very well deserved. Tara has been a phenomenal advocate for this organization and for traffic safety. So please give me one more opportunity to congratulate her. All right, so as the 43rd Annual Lifesavers Conference draws to a close, it is now time that we thank our host state of California and pass the safety vest to our 2026 host, which will be Maryland. So at this time, I would like to ask you all to mark your calendars for April 19th through 21st, 2026. We will see you all there for Lifesavers in Baltimore, Maryland. And here to kick off the passing of the vest is California Office of Traffic Safety Director Stephanie Doherty. Stephanie, thank you for you and your team's support in making this year's event possible, and I will turn the mic over to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And again, on behalf of California, we want to thank you for being part of the 2025 Lifesavers Conference. We so enjoyed hosting you this year, and we hope that you were able to get out and enjoy your time here in Long Beach. We are thrilled to have shared this experience together and to have learned from one another and to have been inspired by one another. This conference serves as such a powerful reminder of the importance of partnerships. By working together, we can accelerate progress towards our urgent safety goals because we know that we cannot do this work alone. So I want to take a quick minute to acknowledge and thank those involved with making this conference possible. First, thank you to the Lifesavers Planning Committee. If you could join me in a round of applause. And I want to say a big thank you to the incredible team at the California Office of Traffic Safety. If you could please all stand, they're up here in front. They are not in their safety yellow shirts like they were on day one, but please join me in giving them a big round of applause. We so appreciate your contributions and hard work. And I also wanted to give an additional and special thank you to the OTS team members who are on stage here with me. So Whitney Brazil, Nicole Ashton, Stephanie Spade, and Tim Weisberg, thank you for your outstanding efforts in making this event a success.
All right, Thank you, Stephanie. I'd now like to call Tim Kerns, Director of the Maryland Department of Transportation Motor Vehicle Administration's Highway Safety Office, back up to the stage, along with his highway safety team, to receive the Lifesavers safety vest.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Tamra. They were so thrilled they got to come up. I might need a food taster for a little while. On behalf of the entire Maryland team, we're looking forward to welcoming you to Baltimore next year for Lifesavers 2026. While Baltimore isn't by the beach, it does have its own charm and plenty to offer. We hope that you'll come see for yourself, and if you haven't yet visited us, we have a little preview.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Neiser, Maryland Motor Vehicle Administrator and Governor Wes Moore's Highway Safety Representative. I invite you to join me for the Lifesavers 2026 conference in my hometown, Baltimore, also known as Charm City. You may think you know Baltimore, the Orioles, the Ravens, the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner, and steamed crabs, but there is so much more to discover here. Baltimore is made up of more than 200 neighborhoods, all with a unique history and feel. No matter where you venture, to the B&O Railroad Museum, the National Aquarium, or the Reginald F. Lewis African American History Museum, expect to be called HUN, a local term of endearment. Close to the Convention Center, you can walk up Federal Hill for some great exercise and beautiful views of the city. Don't miss the one-of-a-kind American Visionary Art Museum. From the unique to the bizarre, you'll be glad you dropped in. Rent a bike or take a walk along the 8-mile-long promenade. During your stroll, you'll see the Maryland Science Center, the National Aquarium at Baltimore, and historic ships like the USS Constellation. Venture a half-mile north to Mount Vernon to see Baltimore's version of the Washington Monument. Or continue on to Little Italy for some authentic Italian dishes. And no trip is complete without some dessert. In just half a mile, you'll find yourself in one of Baltimore's oldest and most haunted neighborhoods, Fells Point, with shopping, restaurants, cobblestone streets, and yes, ghost tours after dark. You might find yourself charmed for hours. No matter what neighborhood you choose to explore, be sure to experience the Maryland delicacy of steamed crabs and crab cakes. We can't wait to see you here for Lifesavers 2026 conference to experience all our Charm City has to offer.
If you stop by our booth at the exhibit hall over the last several days, we offered a chance to win a taste of Baltimore by taking a selfie with our iconic symbols that you saw a lot of in the video. Congratulations to our winner, Brittany Lobo with Sonoma County Public Health. Brittany, you can come up after we're done. They'll have your basket right next to the stage. Lots of goodies in the basket that you'll be able to sample when you come to Baltimore. Well, we have a few more months before we know the Orioles' schedule to see if they'll be home. We hope to have 3 beautiful spring days. April's a great time to visit Maryland and visit Baltimore. And we hope that the conference will be as impactful as educational as you experienced out here. We look forward to seeing what you made happen over the next year. Travel safe, and we look forward to seeing you in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more round of applause for our hosting. Who's wondering how she's going to get that on the plane? Am I the only one? Okay, just want to make sure. Let us know if you need some shipping help with that there. Alrighty, so now moving on in our program, we want to acknowledge the 29 young people here today that have been immersing themselves in all things Lifesavers. This group of phenomenal students are the future of traffic safety. At this time, I'd like to ask all of our traffic safety scholars that are still here in the room to please stand. You all are the best of what we have to offer, and we are looking forward to what you will be doing in the future, and we can't wait to see you all in 2026 as professionals in the industry. So thank you for joining us. Please make sure you make all the connections, and if you see these faces around, make sure that you pass on your business cards. Thank you. All right, now at this time, we'd also like to thank all those who participated in our Sea to Shining Sea scavenger hunt. We hope you had fun learning about our sponsors, exhibitors, and the Lifesavers Conference in general. The competition was fierce, y'all. To earn the full 2,800 points, you had to find 55 QR codes and donate all also at the Lifesavers blood drive. So we are now ready to announce the runners-up as well as the grand prize winner, who will receive a $200 Visa gift card and a Long Beach goodie bag. So according to the rules, you had to be present to win. So I'm going to call off the names. I'd like those who are winners to please stand and wave at me just so we can make sure that you're here. And after we wrap up the program, please meet me at the side of the stage and we will hand off your award. All right, Maestro, can I get a drum roll, please? I love that. I just love that. All right, for our first runner-up, we have Thomas L. from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Thomas, are you still with us? Ah, perfect. Congratulations, Thomas, and I'll meet you at the side of the stage after the program. Our next runner-up, we have Chris F. from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Perfect. There's Chris over there in the back of the room. All right, and our grand prize winner, who is also the winner of the $200 gift card, Michaela H. from Oklahoma City. Is Michaela with us? Ah, there she is. All right. So I will meet all of you. No, she's not here. Michaela. Oh. But the rules say. All right, so we're going to have to follow with Michaela, but moving forward in our grand prize winner, do we have Paige L. from St. Paul, Minnesota in the room? Ah, perfect. All right, Paige, please join the rest of the group at the side of the stage after the presentation, and we'll make sure you get your prize. All right, so as we move forward, we ask that you please use the mobile app to complete the workshop evaluations. They are still open if you have not done so. You can find the overall conference evaluation on the mobile app, but you'll also be receiving an email after you leave here today asking for your feedback. Please complete the overall evaluation at your earliest convenience. We are using your feedback to help make sure that we are making next year's conference even better than this year. And now I'd like to recognize a very important group to us as the planning committee. You know, anytime you plan a conference of this size, it takes years of organization and planning and also a great team. Can the members of the Meetings Management Inc. employee team please stand at this time? Along with the Lifesavers Board and Planning Committee, this team puts in tireless hours to make this conference happen, and we appreciate them. Thank you very much. So once again, we would like to thank our sponsors. Without you, we could not be here today, so thank you to everyone who supported the event. And now, most importantly, we send you all on your way. Thank you so much for joining us here in Long Beach. And we pray that you have safe travels back home. And we will see you in 2026 in Baltimore, Maryland.